कुंज बिहारी गोपी जन बल्लभा गिरिवरधारी गोपी जन बल्लभा गिरिवरधारी यशोदनंदना व्रज जनरंजना यशोदनंदना व्रज जनरंजना यमुना Hare Jai Shri Harinam Sankirtan Ki Jai, Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Hare Krishna. Jnanaतिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूप कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकम्। नमो विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्त स्वामिनिति नामिने। नमस्ते सारस्वती देवी गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्यदेशतारिणे। वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। Hare Krishna. According to the books which describe the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Sri Krishna, it has been mentioned that his holy abode is called Sri Vrindavan Dham. Actually, it is just Vrindavan. But out of affection, respect, the emotive way to address the land of Vrindavan is, or this is how devotees or people who have strong sentiments and emotions, they address Vrindavan as Shri Vrindavan Dham. Vrindavan is the home of Sri Krishna. According to the philosophy of eternal life, there are two realms. One is the realm where eternal existence is expressed in its full manifestation. So in the Sanskrit language, that eternal abode is called as Vaikuntha. We could call it the spiritual world in the English language. Vaikuntha basically means there are no problems there. Hence, life can be exhibited to its fullest extent, because there are no restrictions, no issues. There are no glitches, no outages. Vaikuntha. And the other realm is a realm where eternal existence is represented in terms of manifest and unmanifest. So that means there is duality. So both the existence, both the realms, both the existences are expression of eternity. In the Sanskrit language, it is called as Sat. They're both expressions of Sat. In one world, it is always in full bloom, and in the other world, it is restricted. What is a restriction in terms of? Occasionally, there is an unmanifested existence. It's like you are there, however, you're not able to interact. So you feel kind of restricted. So manifest and unmanifest. And this world of the dualism of manifestation and unmanifestation or non-manifestation is called as the material world. In the Sanskrit language, it is called as Kuntha. You've heard that before? Kuntha? Some of us are hearing it for the first time. So no one is going to get extra sweets for guessing which part of that existence we are in. Because we face dualities in life. There's always some sunrise, some sunset. There is always ups and downs. So it doesn't take long to figure out that we are in that realm of existence where there are dualities. What is the problem with dualities? We don't like it. Basically, most of us are very compatible beings. We are easygoing people, all of us. It's the circumstances that brings out the craziness in us. Isn't it? Yeah, we like to live in that fantasy. And we are easygoing people. Actually, we are easygoing people if we realize our constitutional nature. There's one way that we have this realization. Every single day, in a generic sense, every day, every calendar day, the solar day, sunrise to sunrise, we have that experience. When is a person most easy to deal with? When they are asleep. It's true, isn't it? In fact, it's most easy to deal with ourselves when we are asleep. Can you imagine every day we have that opportunity and we take it for granted? We are like aggressively looking forward to the activities that we do in our wakeful state. And we just neglect the facility that we have when we go off to rest. Occasionally we may remember, I've been having some bad days, I think I need a good sleep. Occasionally we remember that. But it's really undervalued. So if we are philosophically minded people, then we inquire. How is it that we have undervalued our existence every single solar day when we are asleep? Because if we don't give any value to that aspect of our daily life, then we'll miss out certain lessons that we can derive from it. We still are alive in the body as we are sleeping, but we are far, far away from all the trials and tribulations that make us feel that we are alive. We are far, far away from all the appreciations and all the trophies that we have achieved in life when we are asleep. We are totally cut off from that, what we consider as reality. Sometimes it is looked as that time of the day where you heal yourself. The body heals itself. Now, what does it speak of the rest of the time when we are in the wakeful state? If we are not very careful, then we may be harming ourselves. Or we may be in situations which are not really healthy for us. Why are we in those situations? Because during a wakeful state, we manifest various kinds of emotions. And typically, generally, most of the emotions are born out of our need of feeling hungry and wanting to fulfill that need. We are hungry for food, we are hungry for attention, we are hungry for knowledge, we are hungry for wealth, we are hungry for a comfortable zone to exist in, we are hungry. Now typically, the word used in philosophy is desire. But that word no longer makes sense to us as does hunger. So, we don't have to read some book or watch a movie to understand that actually each one of us is participating in the Hunger Games. Running after what we feel is reality, but most of the others around feel it to be a mirage. From their perspective, it's a mirage for us. Nobody cares. In our community of, let's say, 50 houses, nobody cares of our reality. It's only as if we care, as much as we don't care for their realities. Amazing existence, isn't it? And then we qualify ourselves to all these institutions, learning so many subject matters, including social interactions, and still we are forced to live a life like this, not having enough time to care for others. In fact, we have to start a non-profit or an NGO, a non-profit organization or an NGO, non-governmental organization to show that we care. 20 hours a week, communal service, community service, not community service. Just to show that we care for others. Where does this hunger come from? The hunger is born out of the innate understanding that we could die soon. And before that happens, it's like realizing that prasad could get over any time, and before that happens, I have to eat my full. Just imagine if we get to know that prasadam is kind of limited. You know how anxious all of us are going to be. So the way we interact in this world, amongst ourselves, create an environment where we make the resources limited for our happiness. It's like every day is trying to fight for that good deal on, what is it? Thanksgiving? Like everyone is so crazy. I want the best deal on Thanksgiving. Like every day is almost like that. So philosophy helps us see that we have other options in life too. Now whether we want to choose any of the other options, alternative options, whether we want to choose, whether we want to choose and whether we get to choose, that could depend on certain other circumstances. Other circumstances also play a part still. Philosophy is an instrument that helps us have alternate visions of life or alternate ways of living life. Many times, philosophy also gets caught up or gets tinged, very much tinged with our routine existence. And then, even when you are wanting to live in a very philosophical way, there's still hunger. Hunger for achieving certain goals. Philosophy helps us understand alternate ways of living life. And one of the alternate ways of living life is, rather than accumulate, decongest your life. Try to ascertain what is it that you really need. Now, if we are not able to do that when we accept a philosophical way of life, you'll find that even in a community of people that has good philosophy, there's still the rat race going on. Everyone is like after some goal, some achievement. In the first chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, Arjuna was trying to present himself as a very philosophical person, very knowledgeable person. In the second chapter, Krishna just, with one statement, he kind of cuts through Arjuna's illusion. Kutastva kashmanamidam. Where have these impurities come upon you? Arjuna was thinking that he was being very practical. That if I leave the battlefield, then things are going to be better. Maybe for me. And Krishna warned him. It seems that you are taking an approach which you feel is good for you, but asochan anvasochastam pratnyavadam asasi. The very fact that you are lamenting for issues where you have to intervene and sort out things, you are simply lamenting for it. What is the use of such lamentation? Hence, people who realize what should be done do not lament for it. They try to sort out those issues. The translation of the Gita, it's like very simple words. You are lamenting for that which is not worth lamentation. So what does it mean? It is not worth lamentation. It means that it needs to be sorted out. Either externally or here in our thought process, it needs to be sorted out. So philosophy is an opportunity. A philosophical way of life is an opportunity. To kind of detoxify oneself. Remove various layers of coverings that we have accumulated since birth. They are called as designations. If a kid goes to high school, if a child goes to high school, and if somebody addresses them as, "Are you a middle schooler?" See their reaction. Just as if you get a promotion and somebody addresses you by your previous designation, what would be your reaction? So do you see these layers? First it was elementary school, middle school, and then you have social media where you show people, this is when I was in, this is my first layer of school, this is my second layer of school, this is my third layer of school, this is my fourth layer of going to college. So those designations are meant to be used whenever needed. They're simply tools. They should not be defining our existence. So we come to certain communities where we can have discussions like this. And hey, let's decongest. Starting off with today's Prashadam plate, hopefully. Let's take a 6-week challenge or a 3-month challenge. Simple. What is it that I need? I'm just joking. I'm just trying to give relatable examples. Please have sumptuous prasadam. Have fun. Otherwise, our cooks are going to be very unhappy. Because ultimately they have to distribute it. Alright, so please take enough, eat or honor prasad till you're like full to the neck. And if it is permitted, take enough for tomorrow too. Yeah. So, how do we try and implement that? Should be a good reflection. Every time you come to certain association, a good reflection would be, okay, for the next couple of days, while I am still inspired, what do I stay away from? What is unnecessary? To keep my mind peaceful. What should I do? Alright. So, that is the material world. And then there is the spiritual world, Vrindavan. Vrindavan is also called as Goloka Vrindavan. it is a synonym for that particular place, another name. What is Golok? Literally speaking, it means the land of the cows. We are not going to go into the philosophy of what Go means, what Loka means, like that. Or technical details on that. Land of the cows. So, what is a connection? Is there a bridge? Like, this is the world of dualities. That is the world free of dualities, eternal existence. Is there a bridge? So the need for a bridge is understood by the most intelligent personality in the entire creation, the Supreme Lord. The Supreme Lord understands that if there are going to be two different places, then you need a passageway, you need a bridge to go across. So to create that bridge, such that we can relate to it in our day-to-day life, the Supreme Lord decides to make His abode descend into this world. Srila Prabhupada would say that this is the way that the Lord creates embassies here. So you can go and give your application there and they would go through it. So when the Goloka Vrindavan descends into this world, it is called as Gokul Vrindavan. Sounds cool? Gokul. Yeah? It's an encouragement to all of us. Have fun. For those of us who've been to Vrindavan, you definitely have fun, especially in Loi Bazaar. A lot of people, they bring back pedas from Vrindavan. The sweets. Gokul Vrindavan. Gokul, just as Golok is the land of the cows, Gokul is the land where there are lineages of cows. The faithful have a lot of affection for Vrindavan. There's a story. Now, Vrindavan is in India, present-day India. So in the past, there was an emperor ruling over that tract, that country. The emperor had heard about a saint living in Vrindavan. So the emperor felt that I am the emperor, so I should have the best of everything. I should have the best of saints too. Why? Because when people have facilities, then they want to collect things. True? So when we have the facility to get some, let's say, a special memento from our temple here, we collect it. And whenever we have visitors, we display it for them. See? The tendency is there. Now, what do emperors do? They don't get, for them, mementos from temples is like dirt cheap. Because most probably they are sponsors for so many temples. So, what would they want to have on display? So, this emperor wanted to have this particular saint on display. So if he has visitors from other countries, he's like, and what do you have in your country? Here, in my darbar, in my court, I have the best of all saints. Well, that was his desire. Now, he needed to get it done. So he told some of his ministers, go and tell that saint to come here. So the ministers some of them had a friendly relationship with the king, with the emperor too. They were like his advisors also. So they advised him, sir, this is not how it works. He said, why? He said, why? Because there's nothing you can offer to purchase them. You cannot offer them any position here that they'll come running for that position. This is a santa, this is a saint. So he said, well, then what should I do? What is the way to get this done? They said, there is a way. So they advised him to go to Vrindavan. So the emperor goes to Vrindavan. Where is the saint? So Vrindavan is very rural, the countryside. You have muddy lanes, dirt roads, fields, untouched mountains, a river, rivulets, ponds. So the emperor has come from his city, his capital, has come to this rural place. First time the emperor has come to this place. He really likes the ambience. It's like, wow! There's absolutely no noise here. So what does he do? He puts away his noise cancellation earbuds. There's absolutely no noise. So peaceful. Where is the saint? I've come here on a mission. So people give him the directions. Goes to a remote location. He says, sir, oh, no, he's the emperor, right? So his minister approaches the saint. Sir, the emperor of the country is here to meet you. The saint is, oh, that's very nice. Please give him some prasad. No, he's come to meet you. So the saint says, yeah, therefore I'm giving him some prasad. I'm offering him some refreshments. No, sir, you don't understand. It's the emperor. Emperors don't visit to get some refreshments. Isn't it? Let's suppose you hear that some temple president from somewhere has come here. Do you think they've come for refreshments? Prashant. Another CEO of one of the high-tech companies here comes to the temple. Do you think they've come for? They must have a mission, a purpose. Somebody invited them, they want to see the place. Emperors. So saint says, all right, I understand the emperor is here. Please give him your audience. So say, yeah, bring him in. So the emperor comes in. The emperor looks at this frail yet effulgent personality. The emperor has been places, seen things. He could immediately perceive that there is some greatness in this personality. He could perceive that. Emperors are sharp. They're supposed to be. Like the CEO, they have to be very sharp. Because Diplomacy is very important, especially when you are the ruler of a country. They have to be very, very perceptive. The emperor was very perceptive. He realized that this gentleman is not another ordinary citizen. So immediately he becomes very respectful. He had come with the intention that, sir, I've come to take you back. But right now he's like, maybe I should just ask him if he has some time. So he becomes a little humbled, becomes respectful. So what do saintly people have that would make a goal achiever in this world feel humbled for a moment? A saintly person has nothing. And goal achievers don't have this thing, nothing. They always have something. Again, a play of words. But I hope the message gets across. That is what makes those people who have goals to be achieved in life, it makes them a little uneasy when they are with certain persons that don't have any desires. They're not able to figure out how can they manipulate this person. They're not able to figure that out. Long ago, I was on book distribution. And I was trying to manipulate someone to take a book. I mean, obviously, I have good intent in the heart, but sometimes you really have to work to get somebody to understand. And the person just kept smiling. I was like, sir, please have the book. And then he said, this was at a house. So he welcomed me inside and he showed me. He had this very copy of the Bhagavad Gita. I go, oh, you already have this. Maybe you could have one to give to someone else. It turned out that actually he was a sponsor for every year for that temple. Now what do you do as a marketing person? Because you don't have any other tools. You can only say, thank you very much. We are so fortunate to have met somebody like you, who already has ticked all the boxes. What do you do when you are in a situation when the person in front of you does not need anything from you? You go blank. Why do you go blank? Because we have come prepared with the idea that we can offer something to someone. And many a times, if we are not very perceptive, we may miss out on the opportunity of feeling comfortable with the idea that we have achieved nothing. Maybe we become uncomfortable with that idea. Hence Krishna says, Labha alabho, Jaya ajaya. Arjuna, be equipoised in profit or loss. So the opportunities come. That is what time does. Time brings us opportunities. And if we don't use opportunities, then time also destroys those opportunities. So it brings us opportunities and it destroys opportunities too. If we use those opportunities, then time gives us, it opens for us doors to more opportunities. Therefore, words like being mindful, thoughtful, being perceptive, they're used. However, for being mindful, you need to use your mind. You cannot be mindful without using your mind. For being thoughtful, you have to channelize your thoughts. You cannot just be thoughtful by attending seminars. You have to learn the art of channelizing thoughts. You have to learn the art, which basically means one has to undergo training for deep meditation. And life being what it is, every year there will be updates. Newer versions of deeper meditation. So the saint was just smiling. Said, "Sir, it is my humble request," said the emperor. "Please come with me to Delhi, my capital." The saint said, "I'm comfortable here." "No, sir, you're not comfortable. I have a palace there. I can give you a nice temple made of marble. So many people will come and listen to you. You can talk to them." The saint said, "I'm comfortable here." So how did the emperor come here? Because one of his ministers, his advisors, had been a disciple of the saint in the early days. So the saint said, "My disciple is here with you. So you can offer him all those facilities. He's well trained. I'm comfortable here." But there's nothing here. There's just dust, dirt, pebbles. "I have jewels. I have the best of precious stones." The saint said, "Oh, I have that too." The emperor is like, "Really? Are there mines here? Can I go and accumulate things?" Well, in his mind he was thinking, can I go and exploit those mines? But no. The saint was thinking, are there precious stone mines here? Gold mines in Vrindavan? The saint said, "I'm comfortable. I have all of these facilities here too." The emperor wasn't convinced. The saint could understand that the emperor wasn't convinced. Some of the saints felt that since this is the emperor of the entire country, this person deserves to have a different experience. So the saint told him, "Come, let me show you something." The emperor was very happy. He thought, at least that's a beginning. He is moving. See, emperors are very perceptive. As I said, they have to always be on their toes, because that is what you do in diplomatic circles. You always, or in any stage of life, wherever you are, you always have to be open-minded to seek opportunities that will give you benefit. And emperors are trained through their life experiences and otherwise to be the best of the best in that department. So the emperor felt the saint is leaving his place of meditation and going somewhere else. So the saint brings him to the river, Yamuna in Vrindavan. The saint says, "Take a dip." He says, "Sir, I have a nice 20 feet by 40 feet washroom with a tub, shower. I no longer need to take bath in rivers." The saint said, "I'm not asking you to take bath. I'm asking you to take a dip." He's like, "But this is the river. I'm not even sure whether there are going to be underwater currents. What would I step on?" The saint is like, "Why do you think so much? Take a dip." He says, "All right." So he goes into the river, just deep, and says, "All right, here, I'm taking a dip." Closes his nose, his ears, takes a dip. He comes up and he says, "That is good. Is that it? This is what you wanted me to experience?" The saint said, "No. This time when you take a dip, you take another dip. This time when you take a dip, keep your eyes open." He's like, "What? I don't have my glasses, underwater glasses, the goggles, I don't have them. Try. It's like, are you trying to pull my leg? What if I get some infection? So the saint, I told him, all right, you take a dip and I'll consider your proposal. With my eyes open. You give a person what they want, they're ready to bend down before you. The saint asked him to take another dip with his eyes open. So he took another dip with his eyes open. He tolerated the pressure that the water was creating over his open eyes, on his open eyes. And then he was surprised because he saw the river bank inlaid with jewels. He said, what? He thought that maybe he was hallucinating, so he raises his head above the water. The saint was smiling. But this time he doesn't wait to take a dip again. So he takes a dip again. All he sees is just mud and water. So he comes up again and he says, I saw something. The saint said, yes, that is what I see always. You just had a glimpse of it. So the emperor said, but this is so unfair. So the saint said that, hey, this is a blockbuster movie. That was just a trailer. You want to see the whole show? You have to prove yourself. What do I have to do? The saint said, come live here with me. I will teach you how to have that vision always. The emperor was wondering, how long would it take? And being the emperor, he realized that it wasn't easy. He did realize that it would take a lot of austerity and penances. He couldn't afford to be away from his kingdom for so long. Otherwise, he would lose his position as the emperor. He wasn't ready to do that. So as all these thoughts, conflicting thoughts were going on in his mind, the saint simply smiled and said, don't worry, come again. The saint went back to his place of meditation. This is Vrindavan. Did you like that story?
Yes.
Really?
Yes.
Okay, I trust you. Now when this story was told to people over generations, a few hundred years ago, a young man was inspired to go to Vrindavan. So the young man makes his journey towards Vrindavan. When he comes close to Vrindavan town, the village, he experiences the vibration of that tract of land. It's different. It's different from his experience throughout life. Because throughout his life, he'd been around people who are very aggressive towards their needs in life. But in Vrindavan, everyone was laid back. And still, it was not that they were lazy, but they did not have that kind of aggressiveness. They got all the things done without being aggressive. When I was young, my grandmother, she would sometimes advise us, her grandchildren. She would say, you could get the same thing done. You could have what you want. You don't need to cry so much for it. You don't need to be so aggressive about it. You could always ask very decently. And we're like, no one gives us anything if we are decent enough. You don't give us that. Which was true. But she was a grandmother, she had seen life. She was very advanced in her age. So she had come to a realization that most people come to when they are in the 60s or 70s. You need not have been so aggressive in life. Most of them, they come to that conclusion. You could always get things done by being sober, gentle. Occasionally it may be needed, but you do not need to always be on the defensive. And because you are being defensive in interactions, it seems as if one is offensive. Can you imagine what the immune system is going through in those moments? The immune system is kind of crazy. Should I be defensive or offensive? So, all the signals that the brain is receiving here is secreting chemicals that are fighting each other within your own body. And then the doctor tells you, take a vacation, 6 weeks, go to a quiet place, away from work. Basically, the doctor is telling you, don't need to be so aggressive. Give some rest to your immune system. It cannot always be in the conflict zone. So, our grandmother, that is what she would teach us. You could have your way. The world is a big place. You don't have to always feel that you are suffocated in a small place. Like sometimes we would want to, we'd want a ball. And we'd be fighting over it. And Granny would say, come here, come here. And she would take, we would have fruits stored, and some of them would have hard shells, some of them would have soft shells, the ones that are dried up. And she would hand it to us and say, or a flower, give it to us and say, play with this. It's almost the same experience, play with this. And we're like, no, we want that ball. But you want to play, right? No, we want to play with that ball. So we need to be peaceful. And that is what this gentleman experienced when he saw people actually living like that. He's like, where am I? This is a different country. And as he was walking towards Vrindavan and seeing this, the countryside, and seeing the mood of the people there, he saw under a tree 4 gentlemen having a discussion. And they seemed to be a little animated. So this looked a little out of place. So that got him interested, isn't it? And things are a little out of place, it catches our interest. In India, we have a long-standing tradition. We may be on a very urgent task, but if something is out of place, 4 or 5 people are having some discussion there, we suddenly find time to stand there and try to understand what is happening. It's like, oh, I think I can spare 2 to 3 minutes here. Very much interested, because we feel that maybe we can offer some help. It's a tradition there. Anything happening there, and if you're a passerby, you kind of just stop and like, "Kya children? What is happening?" So, he walks up to where those gentlemen are, and they just notice him and continue on their discussion. They're like, yeah, okay, someone's here. So he eavesdrops, or rather he just stays there and overhears what they're discussing. They're talking about how life began. They were having a philosophical discussion. And each one was having his own opinion. Each person. There were 4 of them and they couldn't kind of come to a consensus. So they were becoming animated. At that very moment, the tree under which they were sitting, a crow came and sat on an overhanging branch. And after a couple of minutes, the crow felt that the vibrations here are a little rajasic. The crow just flew away. And as soon as the crow fell away, a fruit fell from the tree. This caught the attention of those philosophers. So one of them said, what could be the cause? We were discussing about what brought about life. So now they have a different scenario. What could be the cause of the fruit falling? So one person said, it's just coincidence. The crow flies, the fruit is ripe enough to fall. Just coincided. So it's just coincidence. So similarly, life was about to happen. We happened to be there. Boom. Creation. Another person disagreed. He said, that's not possible. Coincidence is not the answer to questions in life. There has to be some logic behind it. So maybe the impact of the crow flying off created sufficient momentum for the tree to vibrate, for the branch to vibrate. And that made the fruit fall, which was already ripe enough. So therefore, similarly, there was happenings there in the creation, and those happenings gave momentum for life to begin. The third one said, I don't think so. The fruit was already there on the tree, it was ripe enough. The crow just happened to be there, doing its own thing. Gravity was acting on the fruit. So when the fruit could no longer hold on, did not have sufficient anti-gravity potential to stay on the branch, gravity just pulled it. And therefore the crow is not the cause of the momentum that caused the fruit to fall. It is gravity that created that situation. Similarly, it is a desire of living beings that results in life being created. So this boy, this young man was listening to all of them. He looked at them. He said, sir, if you don't mind, can I comment? They're like, yeah, we are open-minded people, you can comment. He said, just a minute. So he goes and picks up that fruit. And he says, is there a possibility? Another possibility. You all are looking at various possibilities, right? Is there a logical acceptance of the possibility that there is a will of the Lord by which the crow comes to sit there? Gravity is also acting. The fruit is ripe enough to follow. To fall down. And maybe the will of the Lord is also involved. And they're like, that's another perspective. So he says, well, if it is the will of the Lord, he takes the fruit, offers it to the Lord, cuts it into 4-5 pieces, and offers each one of them a piece, and takes a piece for himself. And he says, if it is the will of the Lord, then it is the will of the Lord that we should also have nice prashad. So the conclusion of the story is that ultimately, why do we try to analyze any subject matter? So that we are able to apply it in our practical lives. Now, if we live life without good analysis, it is going to affect our health. Physical, mental, and spiritual health. Like if we are part-time into analysis, part-time into not analysis, it is going to affect us. If we are not into analysis, it is definitely going to affect us. But if we have good analysis through discussions, through introspection, through reading, through life experiences, there is the possibility that we could have a healthy life. And what is healthy life? Healthy life is where one realizes that eternity need not be restricted by dualities. And hence, we start working on how do we get free from dualities. And that is Krishna consciousness. It is a process by which we can rise above all the life events that are pulling us into either pleasure, pain, happiness or distress, anxiety, pain, infamy, peace. These dualities. Because dualities, when they manifest, after some time it becomes unmanifest, and if it is unmanifest, within time it is going to manifest again. That is how duality functions. So we are very fortunate to have Krishna consciousness in our lives, and the land of Vrindavan is a land which helps us experience that life of freedom, where every pebble is actually a wish-fulfilling stone. Chintamani. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna. Wow. That was an amazing reciprocation. Very resounding. Any questions? We have the mic going into the crowd, into the audience.
Hare Krishna, Rohinipriya Prabhu. It's an honor and a privilege to have you at ISC. And we really feel great that you have kept us in your annual yatra and making this a routine. And you can see that how much the love and gratitude the community has for you. So hopefully, I'm sure devotees have a question. Maybe we can take 2 questions. Is that okay?
Sure. Yes. Are there any
If
questions?
you have questions, we have the microphones in the front.
Just a quick question regarding the philosophical mindset. Why we need a philosophical mindset in our lives? I was just contemplating recently. When we look at news, we see tragedies. Most of the time there are tragedies. You see wars, like Ukraine, Russia war, and then the inner conflict. So you mentioned about inner conflict and external conflict. I'm seeing so many people committing suicides also, unfortunately, when you look at newspapers. And most of the times, these people have committed suicide just for silly reasons. I mean, for them it may be a big reason in their mind. But because of Krishna's message of Bhagavad Gita having assimilated in our lives, we feel that these are trivial reasons. So I was thinking, that is why we need Bhagavad Gita. We need to educate people the importance of Bhagavad Gita and assimilating the message in our lives so that these tragedies can be avoided. Just a comment.
Thank you very much for your comment. Yes, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Thank you for the nice class. Prabhuji, you mentioned very nicely about living a life, trying to live a life opposite of accumulation. And, sometimes...
Can I stop you for a moment? If I did use the word, don't accumulate, I'm sorry. What I wanted to use was the word decongest, or let go of that which is not really essential. Is that okay? So just, I wanted to rephrase.
Thank you. Thank you. So, the mind always says that be practical. Consider your responsibilities, or what else. How do you fine tune both ways? I completely hear you, see a lot of merit in it, and the mind plays its own tricky games. That come on, be practical. And even it tricks that this will actually help your Krishna consciousness. Plus, thoda, little more, then it is. That little more never ends. Yeah.
Thank you for the question. How do we put all the teachings that we've received into practice? Basically, I try to summarize the question. Is it all right? Like that?
Yes.
Yes. Many of us do know that we have this amazing quality called as courage, and we use it. If we find the confidence to use courage, even in this scenario of wanting to change, by applying that which we have received as teachings, wanting to change, that would be a very good application of the quality of courage. So we have it, we've used it. Maybe if we use the quality of courage towards this endeavor, and we could begin small. The first step. It could be, with courage we could take small steps, gingerly, not being completely sure, but at least we have sufficient determination to take that small step. And then let's see what happens. If we are not ready for a macro change right now, let us go for micro changes. Let us use the courage that is there. Yes? Krishna is recommending Arjuna also, right? He's saying, stand up with courage and fight. Is it all right?
Thank you, Prabhu. Very practical thing. Yes.
Okay. Thank you. So let's stop. Oh, you have a question? No. All right. So thank you very much. Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Gaura Bhakta Vrinda ki jai. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.